Hey, what's up you guys, it's Dorothy and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to go into chapter 26 of Lost by James Patterson, so let's get right into this video. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, I suggest you click off the video now. You have been warned. Somehow, 10 minutes later, I was in the lobby wearing clean clothes and searching desperately for a cup of coffee. Marie bounced into the hotel as if she'd just gotten back from vacation. She greeted the doorman by name, and then we hopped in her official VW hatchback. It seemed like every third building was some sort of museum. When they talked history in Amsterdam, the topics were events that had occurred before the United States was a going concern. In South Florida, history meant the Cuban migration or Jackie Gleason living there in the 70s. It wasn't all sightseeing, there was a purpose behind it. Maria explained how the city was laid out and told me where different crimes were most common. She also showed me potential safe houses for the Russian mob. At one point, we stopped by a building next to a canal. Marie said, "These apartments are often used to house people before they're smuggled to their next destination. There's going to be an operation to make some arrests tonight. I wanted to bring you so you can see what it's like. There are some legal prostitution houses in this block as well," she added. I was genuinely curious. Did you find that legalizing prostitution had much of an effect on crime? There's never an easy answer to things like that. Even if you legalize something, there's still a black market. People think that decriminalization eliminates black markets. But those are people who don't experience life on the streets. For customers who want to avoid taxes or identification, there's always a market that the government can't control. Legalizing prostitution has made Amsterdam a destination for desperate people, and that provides the avenue for human traffickers. They convince runaways or young people with drug problems that if they can just get to somewhere else, everything will be all right. It's basically the same scam every criminal has used for the past 200 years. In the early evening, we stopped at a cafe. I expected to throw down half a gallon of coffee to perk up, but as soon as we settled into a small table in the corner, I realized this was no ordinary cafe. This was one of the coffee houses Amsterdam was famous for, the kind where they served pot along with coffee. It was not dark or dank. The different strains of marijuana were proudly displayed in glass containers. The conversations in the small coffee house were muted and private. A light shone on a poster of the Rolling Stones at Elmont. Except for the odor of pot in the air, it could have been any hipster hangout in the States. Commercial cigarettes and alcohol were both strictly forbidden in the coffee house. When I told Marie I knew what was up, she gave me a sly smile. "It's completely legal here, at least inside a place like this." I glanced around at people enjoying pot-infused pastries or smoking joints or hookahs. Marie said, "Would you like to try marijuana legally? Just because it's legal here doesn't mean I'm allowed to try it." Marie said, "Have you ever tried pot?" I laughed. "I went to the University of Miami. Of course I've tried it." She ordered in Dutch. Before long, I had a cup of coffee and a lovely-looking pastry in front of me. Marie had the same. She also had a single perfectly rolled joint. I said, "Knocking off early today, are we?" "No, just breaking all kinds of rules." I watched as she lit the joint with a plastic lighter and took a single puff. She handed it to me. I thought about it for a moment, then copied her single light puff. If it was a test, I'd passed it. She put out the joint by crushing it under the edge of her coffee cup. Marie said, "I was hoping you weren't one of those by-the-book cops who are all insufferable." I let out a laugh and said, "I can be insufferable even while breaking the rules." We chatted about differences between the US and Europe. It was as nice an evening as I'd had in years. The pot seemed to hit me in waves. At first I was just some ringing in my ears, but before I knew it, I felt the full effects. This shit was so much stronger than anything I'd ever tried in college. Of course, I hadn't smoked a lot back then, and the few times I had, it was to fit in or impress a girl. I guess things hadn't changed much. Marie asked me about the task force, and I felt like I was slurring my words as I told her about it. Finally, I said, "No one realizes that Interpol is basically a series of databases with no real arrest powers. Isn't it funny how people assume they know all about police work from movies?" Marie said, "My father always asks me if I have a CSI team with me. He watches reruns of the American show. I get that all the time, especially with my size. People assume I'm duking it out with bad guys every day." Marie laughed. "It's true that much of our view of Miami police work comes from the reruns of Miami Vice. It's a good show, but it's about as realistic as Game of Thrones. Another favorite, I prefer a good fantasy to some of the horror that we have to face in real life. I raised my coffee cup and said, "Amen, sister." It might have been the pot, but we both laughed for a really long time. That is the end of this chapter. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.